A small room in Jerusalem, stone walls holding the last warmth of the day, oil lamps flickering, light bending and trembling across the room like something alive. It is night. The crowds are gone. The noise is gone. The public miracles, the public arguments, the public sermons finished. And now, only the inner circle remains. Jesus sits with the ones he called the children of light, not followers, not believers, not spectators, the ones who carried something different in their chest. Peter is there, John is there, Mary Magdalene is there. And in that room, behind closed doors, Jesus speaks about something he never mentioned in public, not because it was too complex, but because it was too simple, too direct, too dangerous to any system built on control. He tells them the chosen souls will recognize themselves, not by success, not by purity, not by being good. They will recognize themselves by their suffering, but not ordinary suffering, a specific kind of pain, a signature pain, a pain that doesn't behave like trauma, a pain that doesn't dissolve when life improves, a pain that follows you even into your happiest moments, like a shadow that refuses to leave. And then one by one, Jesus names 7 pains, 7 layers, and after naming each one, he teaches them how to release each pain through a method so simple, so immediate, that religious authorities would later burn every text that contained it. But fragments survived, scattered across the Nag Hammadi library, hidden in jars, buried like contraband. Tonight, you're going to receive a reconstruction, not a lecture, not a theory, a transmission. 7 pains, 7 releases, one night that changes everything if you do what I'm going to ask you to do. Right now, place your hand over your chest. Pause at 2 Sekunde. Feel the weight you carry there. That heaviness you've never been able to explain to anyone. That pressure beneath your ribs, like a stone that doesn't belong to you, but somehow has lived there for years. You've carried it your entire life, and tonight, you're going to understand why. If you are listening at this exact moment, it is not coincidence. The algorithm didn't bring you here. Your soul did. Something in you is ready to release what you've carried for far too long. If you can feel that recognition stirring in your chest right now, you can whisper this out loud. I am ready, not to me, to the source, to the monad, to whatever name you use for the original light behind all lights. Music slightly lifts, then settles. What I'm about to share draws from ancient Gnostic manuscripts, texts that were hunted, buried, and burned because they contained something no institution could afford to allow ordinary people to access. Direct knowledge, unmediated truth. The recognition that you are not a sinner begging for salvation. You are a fragment of the divine, living inside a world designed to make you forget. And forgetting creates pain, not random pain, targeted pain, pain with a purpose. The Gnostics understood something about human suffering that modern language still struggles to name. Not all pain comes from trauma. Not all heaviness comes from experience. Some pain is carried into this world at the moment of incarnation. It is the pain of a divine spark being compressed into dense matter, the pain of light being forced into a container too small to hold it. And this kind of pain doesn't fade with time. It doesn't heal the normal way, because it isn't yours to fix. It is yours to recognize and release. In the Gnostic texts, Jesus speaks of the demiurge, an ignorant architect who shaped the material world and believed himself to be the highest god, not the monad, not the true source, a lesser maker, obsessed with control. And according to this worldview, human bodies became containers, prisons for fragments of divine light that fell from the pleroma, the fullness, and to keep those fragments asleep, to keep them from remembering, the demiurge designed a system of forgetting. Part of that system is pain, but not punishment. Signatures, proof. Here is what they never wanted you to understand. The 7 pains you experience are not punishments. They are signatures. They are proof you carry something, because the system never intended you to have direct access to the source. And because you do, you feel what others cannot feel. You hurt in ways others cannot understand. You ache for something you cannot name, because the name was erased from your memory before you took your first breath. But here is where it gets dangerous for the system. If you recognize these pains for what they are, they begin to lose their power. Because confusion feeds the Archons. Confusion creates self-blame. Self-blame creates shame. Shame creates collapse. And collapse creates harvest. But recognition starves them. Take a slow breath right now. In, hold, and out. Pause 2 Sekunde. You are safe here. We're not doing fear. We're not doing paranoia. We are doing clarity. We are doing remembrance. Now listen closely. I'm going to give you the 7 pains first, and I want you to do one thing while you listen. Don't judge yourself. Don't label yourself. Don't analyze. Just notice. When a pain is named, your body will respond. A subtle tightening, a sudden heat, a sting behind the eyes, a pressure in the throat. That is not imagination. That is recognition. The 7 pains. Pain. 1. The pain of not belonging. This is the foundational wound. The first signature. From your earliest memories, you sensed you were different. Not better. Not worse. Just other. You watched people connect effortlessly while you stood slightly outside the circle observing, studying, wondering why the invisible wall existed. You tried to fit in. You learned to mimic belonging. You learned the social rituals, the laughter at the right moments, the mask of, "I'm fine." But in the quiet moments, the truth returned. You don't belong here, because this place is not your home. The Pistis Sophia calls it the exile of the light. Your spark remembers the pleroma, unity without effort, connection without performance, existence without the weight of separation. And every day you spend in dense reality, the spark aches for what it lost. This isn't weakness. This isn't social anxiety. It's homesickness for a dimension your mouth has no words for. If you've carried that homesickness, let your hand press gently into your chest. Pause 2 Sekunde. Pain. 2. The pain of being misunderstood. No matter how clearly you speak, something essential fails to translate. People hear your words, but miss your meaning. They see your actions, but can't perceive your intention. You've been told you're too intense, too deep, too complicated, or worse, dramatic. But it isn't drama, it's frequency. It's like trying to describe color to someone who only sees black and white. And the deepest wound isn't being misunderstood once. It's realizing this has happened so many times. You eventually stopped trying, because the effort was exhausting. So you learned to walk through life as a stranger wearing a familiar face. In the Gospel of Thomas, there is a line about the kingdom spread upon the earth and people not seeing it. Your experience is inverted. You see what others do not see, and that perception isolates you. Not because you're superior, but because you cannot share what others lack the receptors to receive. Pause 1 Sekunde. Pain. 3. The pain of carrying weight that isn't yours. Chosen ones are permeable. You absorb what is unspoken. You walk into a room and feel tension before anyone talks. You sense the grief behind a smile. You feel the anger under politeness. You leave gatherings drained and wonder why. Because you took something in that no one asked you to hold. This is not weakness. This is the nature of light. Light absorbs, light transmutes, but when you forget what you are, you absorb darkness and never release it. It accumulates, layer upon layer, until you can't tell which pain is yours and which pain belongs to the world. Close your eyes for 3 seconds. Pause 3 Sekunden. Now feel the boundary of your body. Where do you end? Where does the world begin? Many chosen ones have lived without edges for years, and nobody taught you had the right to be sovereign. But listen carefully. Permeability is not a flaw. It is a capacity. The same openness that allows you to absorb also allows you to channel. The valve works both ways. The problem was never your sensitivity. The problem was that nobody taught you how to use it. Pain. 4. The pain of knowing without proof. You've always sensed truths you couldn't explain. You knew things about people the moment you met them. You felt outcomes before they happened. You recognized patterns everyone else missed. But when you spoke, you were dismissed. So you learned to stay silent, and silence turned into self-doubt. Self-doubt turned into betrayal of your own inner voice. And the moment you stop trusting your own knowing, you become manageable. The Gnostics called true inner knowing gnosis, not belief, not theory, recognition, direct experiential truth. And the system has spent your entire life training you to look outside yourself for truth. Experts, authorities, rules. Because the moment you trust your gnosis, you become unreachable. Here's a reminder. You don't need proof to breathe. Your body knows. That's how gnosis works. It simply knows. Pain 5. The pain of feeling too much. You feel joy so strong it almost hurts. Sorrow so deep it makes language seem useless. Love that arrives like a tidal wave. And people with smaller emotional bandwidth get frightened. They tell you you're too sensitive, too emotional, too much. So you learned to dim yourself. You turned your own volume down to keep others comfortable. But dampening creates pressure. And pressure becomes pain, unspoken, unreleased. In the myth of Sophia, the being of immense light falls because her longing to know the source is too strong. Her intensity is both gift and wound. That's the paradox you live. The very qualities that mark you are the same qualities the world trains you to suppress. Your depth isn't a disorder. Your intensity isn't dysfunction. It's signature. Pain 6. The exhaustion. Sleep can't cure. You wake up tired. You move through days with fatigue that doesn't match your schedule. Rest doesn't restore you, because this exhaustion isn't physical. It's spark exhaustion. Your divine fragment has been burning in dense atmosphere for years. And a tired chosen one doesn't question. A tired chosen one doesn't remember. A tired chosen one just survives. And survival is the lowest frequency. Modern life is designed to maximize this depletion. Endless stimulation, manufactured urgency, a constant demand to run without ever arriving. If you've felt that fatigue, right now roll your shoulders back and straighten your spine. Pause 2 Sekunden. Feel the shift. You are not powerless. You are not empty. You are leaking, and leaking can stop. Pain 7. The pain of remembering without knowing what you remember. This one holds the others. Flashes. Moments. A sense of home with no location. A recognition with no face. A longing for something you've never seen with physical eyes. This is your spark trying to remind you of origin. The pleroma isn't a place like a city. It's a state of unified consciousness, no separation. Your mind can't hold it fully, but your body remembers it. That's why nothing in this world fully satisfies you. Achievements feel hollow, acquisitions fade, even love can feel incomplete. You are homesick for unity, and the Archons have used that homesickness against you, redirecting it into distractions, addictions, constant seeking. If you recognized yourself in these 7 pains, you are not broken. You are marked. You are proof. Now here's where the story turns. Because in that small room, after naming each pain, Jesus gave a release, a way to unhook the pain from your identity, a way to stop feeding confusion, a way to let the signature remain without the suffering. The 7 releases. Music bed becomes slightly warmer, still mysterious. I'm going to give you 7 releases. Each release is simple, so simple, the mind will try to reject it. That's normal. Systems of control thrive on complexity. Complexity creates dependency. Simplicity creates sovereignty. And sovereignty is the one thing the system cannot monetize. Here is the rule. We do not fight the pains. We do not shame them. We do not force them to disappear. We recognize them, and we release what is not truly ours. Every release has 3 parts. Name, touch, breath. Name what it is. Touch where it lives. Breathe until it shifts. And with each release, we use a declaration, not begging, not hoping. Declaration. Because chosen ones don't ask for access to the source. They remember they were never separated. Release 1 for not belonging. The witnessing. Place your hand over your heart and say softly, out loud or in your mind, I am not broken. I am in exile. Then breathe in slowly, and on the exhale, whisper, I witness this world without needing to belong to it. This pain loosens when you stop trying to fit into what was never your home. The release is permission. Permission to be other. Permission to be foreign to false structures. You don't heal exile by becoming normal. You heal exile by remembering origin. Pause 2 Sekunde. Release 2 for being misunderstood. The private flame. Touch your throat gently, just 2 fingers, and say, not everyone is built to understand my frequency. Then breathe, and on the exhale, I do not shrink my truth to fit a smaller receiver. This release is not loneliness, it's selectivity. It's sacred privacy. Some parts of you are not meant for the crowd. They are meant for the source. They are meant for the ones who carry the same spark. Release 3 for carrying others. The return. Place your hand on your solar plexus upper belly and name what you've been carrying. This is not mine. Then breathe in, slowly, and on the exhale, imagine, not visualize hard. Just allow a feeling that everything you absorbed returns to its rightful owner, without violence, without hatred, without guilt. I return what is not mine, with peace. The system trained you to believe you must carry everything to be good. That's a lie. Goodness is not self-erasure. Goodness is clarity. Release 4 for knowing without proof. The trust. Put your hand on the center of your forehead and say, I trust my gnosis. Then breathe in, and on the exhale, I do not need proof to obey truth. Your knowing isn't a problem. Your knowing is your instrument. The release is ending the habit of asking permission to believe yourself. Release 5 for feeling too much. The unmute. Place your hand back on your heart and say, my intensity is not a flaw. Breathe in. On the exhale, I stop muting my light to protect those who fear it. This is not cruelty. This is honesty. The ones meant for your frequency will not ask you to dim. They will expand. Release 6 for exhaustion, the ceiling. This is the one the Archons hate, because this one stops the leak. Place one hand on your heart and one hand on your lower belly, and say, I seal my field. Breathe in for 5 seconds. Hold for 2. Exhale for 7. Repeat. As you exhale, feel your energy coming back into you. Not from others, from the places you abandoned yourself. Whisper, I call my energy home. If you do this nightly for 7 nights, many chosen ones report a lift, not because life became easy, because they stopped bleeding. Release 7 for wordless remembering, the home note. This one is gentle, because it touches your deepest longing. Put both hands over your chest, and instead of trying to explain the longing, just name it. I remember. Then breathe, and on the exhale, I am held by the source, even here. This release doesn't erase homesickness. It changes it from pain into compass. Homesickness becomes direction, a sacred pull, not a wound, a map. The complete method, 7 breaths, 1 declaration. Music, steady, comforting pulse. Now I'm going to give you the full sequence Jesus taught, rebuilt from fragments, preserved by those who refuse to forget. Tonight, you'll do it with 1 pain, not all 7, just the one that is loudest. Here's how. Step 1, choose the loudest pain tonight. Not the one you think is most important, the one your body reacts to most. Step 2, touch where it lives. Chest, throat, belly, jaw, shoulders. Step 3, breathe 7 times into that place, slowly, in and out. And with each exhale, say silently or aloud this declaration. This pain is not my punishment. This pain is my proof. I am one with the source. I am not broken. I am marked, and I release what no longer serves my remembering. That's it. No ritual, no gatekeeper, no priest, no intermediary. And this is why they burned it, because it cannot be owned. What to expect after you do it. Here's what often happens after the first real release. A wave of heat in the chest, a sudden sigh you didn't plan, tears that feel ancient, not personal, a quietness in the mind, a sense of space inside the ribs, a subtle feeling of being less alone. And then this part matters. Expect resistance, not because you failed, because the system notices when you stop leaking. You may suddenly think, this is nonsense. You may feel, I'll do it tomorrow. You may get sleepy at the exact moment you try. This is not your weakness. This is the oldest defense mechanism in the book, delay. So promise yourself something simple. Not perfection, not a lifetime vow. Just tonight. Do it once, tonight, while the recognition is still warm in your chest. Closing the one night that changes everything. Music becomes luminous, soft choir pad very low. Now listen to me. You came here carrying 7 pains you couldn't name. Now you have names. And when you have names, you have power. Not power over others, power over confusion. And confusion is what the Archons feed on. When you recognize your pain as signature instead of flaw, the harvesting stops. So here's what I want you to do when this audio ends. Don't scroll. Don't distract. Don't let the old world pull you back into noise. Sit in stillness for 60 seconds, hand on chest, and ask quietly, which pain is loudest tonight? Then do the 7 breaths. Then speak the declaration. Then sleep and watch what changes. Not outside of you first, inside, in the pressure, in the heaviness, in the stone beneath your ribs. You won't become someone else. You'll become what you were before you forgot. If you want a closing line for your audio, say this slowly. You are not broken. You are marked. You are a fragment of the light. And tonight, you release what was never meant to be your prison. Pause. 3 Sekunden. If you want a final call to action in cinematic tone, không quá sales, dùng đoạn này. If this reached you tonight, leave a single sentence somewhere, anywhere, so your own nervous system seals the commitment. I am ready. Not for me, for the source. For the part of you that has been waiting a long time to breathe freely again.